You're listening to the podcast where we talk about life, sports, family, and everything in between. Welcome to Just Talking Out Loud with your hosts, Ron and Terry.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm Ron.
I'm Terry.
And we're on location. We're in Pittsburgh. We are babysitting, and we're excited because we have my oldest son, RJ, joining us on the podcast. Hi, RJ.
Hi, everybody.
And it's great to have him. And we're going to talk a little bit about. I think we're going to start really at the beginning. We're lucky enough to watch Fen. We stayed overnight. Lauren is unfortunately not here with us. Hopefully the next time we'll have her too, and maybe Fen too.
Yeah, you could be talking by then.
The way he's going now, who knows? I think I want to start really. Let's start right at the beginning because, let's just start here. I've been praying for a grandchild, and God answers prayers, and I have one. But let's talk about Fen being born. He was premature, 3 pounds, 5 ounces. Mm-hmm. And let's start here. What's it like being a dad? Is it what you expected? Maybe not as much as you expected, or
I want to preface this by saying that I am really lucky, and I have a really, really well-behaved child at such a young age. And I think just from thinking about when we were growing up, and I have 2 younger brothers, and the chaos that we caused all the time, I was expecting it to be, and I don't want this taken the wrong way. I expected it to be more of a full-time job. You know what I mean? He sleeps a lot, so that helps. And
he's happy all the time.
He's happy all the time, and he entertains himself a lot. So, I was expecting it to be more of a burden than it actually is. And there's definitely days where he's
And at first
upset.
it was.
At
first because he was in the hospital for so long.
And even when he came home at first too, because we spent 3 months in the hospital, right? And then we bring him home and everything seems like an emergency. And we had that period of time where, we're new parents. This is our first kid. And you just kind of forget everything that you experienced as a kid, so everything felt like it was life or death. Right, when you first brought him home, and then it gets easier and easier and easier as time goes by, and as he's put on weight and gotten older, it's just I don't know. I remember being younger and me and Nathan playing in the yards and stuff like that, and I'm thinking man, if mom and dad could see us now, they'd be freaking out because we were doing something we thought was dangerous, right? And I guess
that's coming up. I'm going to ask about that.
And there were a few things that
I was going to ask about that.
I remember you trying to get him and Jill to put water in the beehole.
Oh, no, they did do that.
Oh, yeah, I know. And that was dangerous.
We'll get to that. We'll come to that.
But you know what I mean? So, I guess, but we never, we got hurt sometimes and we, broke some bones but got some stitches. But we never, I don't know, it always felt like, you guys were watching us. And I guess once Fen was born, and I felt like I was going to have to do that too, and that's a really overwhelming thought. It's I have to be this omnipresent figure around him all the time. And I think in the back of my head, I still feel that way. But it's really, if I'm really honest with myself, it's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
You guys have him on an unbelievable schedule.
Oh yeah, they do.
He follows that schedule. I'm amazed at he has certain ways of telling you, hey, it's time to eat.
Yeah.
And his nap time, you said he'd be sleeping at a certain time, and there it is. And last night we got a chance to feed him and then a bottle and put him to sleep. And just like RJ said, he usually goes down between 7 to 8 o'clock, and then he slept for 10 hours.
Yeah. And I realize that everybody's experience is different, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why we keep saying that if we have another one, it has to be a terror baby because we were so lucky with this one that
Yeah,
there's no way we can get a second one.
Your Aunt Janet had 2 good babies, though.
Well, and I guess that does happen, but I'm not going to count on it.
Well, you think for the worst, hope for the best.
I think Sam was a little bit busier than Jillian, but when he got tired, he just wanted his bed, and if you laid him in his bed, he went to sleep. Like, you laid him down and left him alone and shut the light down low, he rolled over and went to sleep.
Well, I think even with our 3 boys, you met people here that have listened to the podcast have heard Zachary and his storytelling, and he's very good at telling stories.
Yeah.
And but you guys were all different in that you were a lot like Fen in a way.
Yeah, you were very happy,
but
you were busier and you didn't sleep as long.
But very easygoing, which you still are.
Yes, I mean you were really easygoing. Like you fuss a little bit once in a while because you were tired or needed changed or something, but you didn't. Like I never remember walking all night. Yeah. I remember you teething and you were a little bit fussy with your first few teeth, but besides that, I don't remember him ever being real fussy.
And I think I've said something to you about that, Dad. When we first brought him home, I had to walk him around the house and play music because that was like the only way he would sleep. Because he was so used when we were in the NICU, it was so loud and noisy. That was what he slept in.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a transition period. And to be honest, sometimes I kind of miss that. It was like a bonding experience, and now he just doesn't care, right? He's like, I'm tired.
I'm going to go to sleep. Yeah.
In fact, I can't remember where we were coming from. It might have been from your house last week, and he was starting to pass out in the back seat, and we were like right on that threshold of where if he falls asleep, he's not going to go to sleep on time. And so Lauren's in the back seat, like poking him, like, "Hey, stay awake, stay awake, stay awake."
Okay.
And I'm playing music, trying to like louder stuff, trying to get him to stay awake. And at one point, he just looks at her. He just turns his head and looks at her and closes his eyes. Like, it's too late. It's over. It's done. You've lost. And we couldn't wake him up the rest of the trip. And mind you, we had only gone from your house for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, so
most
of the
Well, we do tire him out.
I
get him going pretty good. That's for sure. That time in the hospital though, you could see. Now I know that was it was tough because that was how many days altogether was there? Was it 30 days? Over 30. It was 50 days.
It was 50 days.
50 days. And 50, I think Lauren will tell you exact date.
Yeah,
and the hour. She has it down to the minute.
It's engraved into her brain.
And understandably, I think when Terry and I went, and let's also say that you went through this with COVID.
Yes.
Where you have all these all these things that you could and could not do, and we didn't know if we'd be able to see them.
So we couldn't go and help, or we couldn't even just give you a break for the day because we weren't allowed in until you got to the Lemieux Center.
That's right. So before we moved to the children's home, we were in a hospital that was basically had to be on lockdown the whole time, and it's funny because, I don't know how much you've talked about your background. I mean, we grew up watching movies. That was what we did. And so how many movies did we watch about the crazy deliveries and like all the parents and grandparents being in the room and like all the hijinks?
I think
they were there for you.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone made it for RJ's birthday.
Yeah, they were all there.
Everyone. Aunts, uncles, great-grandparents, everyone was in that room.
Yeah.
And so I think in a way it was like kind of a blessing and a curse, right? Because I don't know if Lauren wanted that or not, but I always kind of imagined if I had a son
going into the room and saying,
everybody, exactly. And like, I kind of missed out on that. And instead I'm, talking to her mom, trying to get her into the hospital, like letting them know that like, she's okay to come in.
Right.
While, Lauren's giving birth. Like it's a very different experience than what I wanted to imagine it as. But at the same time, there was like, I don't know. It almost had like an intimate feeling, right? Because it was just like me and her mom, and it was just us in this tiny. Well, it wasn't a tiny room; it was a really big room. But
that was West. No, that wasn't.
That was McGee.
McGee,
yeah,
McGee.
And then after that, right? We're in the NICU, and Fen had his own room, which not every baby is lucky to do that if they're busy. And it's just kind of like this dark little room, and he's in this little pod, and it's, you come in and you get heartbroken every single time, and it's like, nobody did anything wrong. Yeah,
he's so tiny, and he's so alone and in an incubator, and he's just like not what you expected. You expected holding and loving and nursing and.
Well, let's also be on. Let's tell the story too, because he was born on the day I did my Memorial Day picnic. Now here, let's go back a little bit, because Lauren had gone into labor. Well, her water had broke, and of course that's at 7 weeks.
26.
So what happened? You go to the hospital, and they're trying to have her not go into labor.
So they're trying to delay her labor, and they have a couple of different ways that they do that. And I think the techniques that they were using, I'm not a doctor, right? But from what it sounded like, it's like if we'd have done this a couple of years ago, like the knowledge to even do this didn't exist yet, right? Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool. But and for a while there, like I think for the first 2 weeks that we were in there, it looked like we were going to make it, right? And even when they said like you're going to be here until, I think it was 32.
They wanted 33 weeks, I thought.
And for the first 2 weeks went by, and they had given her the medicine, she'd been taking it, and it made her really tired, but she hadn't nothing had progressed from her water breaking. And so in my mind it's like we're gonna well, it was dread really, because like I have to be in this freaking hospital for like 5 weeks. You can only eat hospital food. Like, don't get me wrong, they have a great cafeteria there, but you can only eat
so much of that
stuff every day. And
right.
Lauren was allowed to walk, so we could go walk outside, and we couldn't go too far, but we could have stuff delivered, so it wasn't awful, but
expensive.
It's expensive, and you're in the hospital room all day. And
isn't there something about we were I forget who I was talking to about this. It might have been Diane, because Diane's mom is in the hospital, and I had said to her, I said, it's something about the hospital where it's kind of draining.
Yeah, it really is. And there's no real rhyme or reason to it, right? I
mean, not really. You're just sitting there.
Yeah, but the person next to you, if it's not you in the bed, right, and the person next to you is suffering in some way.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, it's like subconsciously that's like it
you can't do anything.
And it's just not you. Like, you walk down the hall, and all of those rooms are people that are suffering in some way, and it's like this collective experience of sorrow.
Yeah,
and so like I think it just weighs on you.
I think so too.
Like whether you realize it or not, and especially in the children's section. Right? Like, you walk through the Nicu and you see all those babies, and you just.
They all have tubes, oxygen.
Man, that is hard. That is hard. And then you see. Sometimes they have the days listed next to like how long they've been there. Or I guess it's technically how old they are, but it's also how long they've been there. And you look at like 149 days, and you're like, man, you just feel for those parents. You really do. There's
a friend of mine that's at work that had their baby very early. He's 1 pound, but what I think you had said it earlier. What's amazing is the technology. The knowledge that they have to. Here he is at 1.5 ounces. Now today he's up almost 10, I believe, maybe more. And the thing of it is, you could see it. I guess I could see it in you. And it was they're 100. I think it's 150 plus days. And you're going back and forth to Pittsburgh, and it's you want to be home.
Yeah.
You want it to be some kind of normal.
Well, and it kind of amplifies everything too, right? Because like every time you go in there, you might not have seen your son for a couple hours, maybe a day if you had to go to work, and you're looking him over, making sure everything's the same. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you don't know. I mean, we had a camera, so we could like log in and watch him.
Right. But she ended up going into labor.
Oh,
we were having a picnic.
Yeah,
because it was right. I always do it the Sunday before Memorial Day, and then
I wish he was here to help me tell the story, because so about 2 weeks go by, and it looks like we're gonna beat this thing. We're gonna get there, and he's gonna come out, and everything's gonna be fine. And then she wants tacos, and so
that's the craving is tacos.
So and we picked this place we'd never heard of before. I can't remember where they were, and she loves spicy food. And I guess it's an old wives' tale that spicy food will make you go into labor. And I didn't know this at the time. And so I ordered you could get like a box of tacos, and so we got like 8 tacos.
It wasn't Taco Bell.
No, it wasn't Taco Bell, and
Not a sponsor. Not yet. Hopefully.
no, I honestly I can't remember where they were from.
Okay.
But 4 of them were spicier than 4 of them were normal, and we got them delivered, and we split them like 2 and 2, and I ate one of the spicy ones first. And I'm not a huge fan of spice, but I occasionally I'll try it because Lauren loves spicy foods, and I ate it, and I was like, man, that's kind of a spicy taco, because like when someone says a spicy taco, usually it's not actually spicy, right? It's like got a little kick to it, but no, this was like I was getting a little bead of sweat while I was eating. I was like, this is actually kind of a hot taco. And I told her that, and I was like, I had this feeling like you probably shouldn't eat that taco.
They didn't have like a restriction of her.
No
she could
restrictions. Eat. Yeah,
okay.
In fact, they wanted her to.
Yeah. They didn't specifically say have something spicy.
No. But they said, she didn't have any dietary restrictions or anything like that. And I think we were supposed to be more active than we were too, like walking around the hospital and stuff like that. But her feet hurt, and she's pregnant, and
not to mention,
and she was leaking.
She's leaking,
and she's leaking, so she had to make a trip. So
and also
couldn't go too far away.
Well, there was a fibroid too that was in the way. Let's talk about that too. There wasn't a lot of room for Fen, and he would. I remember her showing us one of those ultrasound pictures. It looked like he was a boxer, and he just boxing that thing away. Anyway,
well, and he was very active, even when he was in the womb too. He kicked and he rolled and he sounded just like how he does now,
like father, like son.
And
I lay down to go to sleep.
Let me just say, if those are listening, if you're hearing a lot, we're on a table, and if you hear a lot of little here, we're moving our arms. We're Italians, so let's just get that out of the way now. So you're going to hear a lot of different things that maybe the mic is going to pick up a lot of stuff. So please forgive us, but we're having fun, and hopefully you are too, and you'll just ignore that as we go forward.
It's
but anyway,
also a really old house, and it creaks.
It's a beautiful house. It is. It's got so many rooms. I mean, we're in the dining room, and it's so big. It's actually the dining room is probably bigger than my kitchen and dining room put together. It's almost. I mean, it's that nice. But we'll get to that too. But the house, how you found the house, renting versus owning a home. But
I've been thinking about that a lot lately too.
Sometimes renting. Listen, renting has
its benefits.
It does because you don't have all the responsibilities. But anyway, so you have the tacos. I'm sorry.
Taco. No, it's fine. So she eats the taco. A little time goes by, and then she's like, I think I'm going into labor.
Oh, you knew it.
And
you knew
it. We didn't eat very much because, we're stressed out from being in the hospital and stuff like. So we each ate like 3 of the tacos. I put the rest of the leftovers in, and I came in, and she's like, I think I'm going into labor. And then sure enough, 12 hours or so later, Fen was born. But the whole time that we're moving from, our room at the hospital to like the emergency delivery room or whatever it was, and we're pushing her down the wheelchair. She just the only thing she could focus on was making sure that the tacos moved with us, because that was the first thing that she wanted.
Oh my gosh, she wanted the tacos.
After it was all said and done, was she wanted another one of those tacos. And sure enough, once she was awake and like feeling better, and we went and saw Fen and downstairs after they got him all cleaned up, she ate the tacos.
Wow.
I sent you to Burger King, if I remember, after him. Of course, I had went through 2 shifts of doctors with no food, and I had missed lunch. And when I missed that lunch trade, I said, you go get me a burger.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, you do what they tell you to do at that point,
exactly.
After all they've been through.
It's like, I've been through this for how many hours? Go get me something to eat.
And I remember I was actually flipping burgers, and I got a picture of Fen.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, and there's a lot of things that go through your mind though.
Oh.
Because, 3.5 pounds, he's early, how's he doing? And then.
I mean, we got to hold him, but I mean, it was for what felt like a split second. It was probably longer, but so much was going on at that time that,
well, they wanted to monitor him.
I mean, like they basically, like he got out, they like handed him to Lauren, and then he was gone. And it was like, what just happened? But at the same time, he's 3.5 pounds and super early. And so they have to make sure his lungs are okay. And like, there's nothing internally wrong with him. And,
but he did breathe on his own and everything, which was really great.
But yeah, the whole experience is, it almost feels like a dream because we weren't in a familiar place, right? We were
And
there
it wasn't
for
even
what
your
felt like
doctor.
forever.
It wasn't
our
even your
doctor.
doctor,
It
yeah.
wasn't the people we'd been seeing preparing for this the whole time. It was just like, it went from her waking up in the middle of the night and being like, I think my water broke, and calling her doctor, and her doctor telling us to go wherever is the closest, to I have a son now and I can't see him because he's stuck in this
Incubator.
bubble for what felt like an eternity.
There were pictures of him in that, was it ultra? Like an ultra, no, what was that when he had the
the
goggles?
ultraviolet light thing.
Because of,
yeah.
you
I
know.
can't remember. I think it's vitamin D or something.
Is that what it
like
was?
that.
Yeah.
Vitamin
Well,
K. It might be vitamin K. I can't remember. But yeah. So it's like a tanning bed for babies.
Yeah, basically.
And we kept the sunglasses or somewhere.
Oh, do you have
yeah,
those? Okay.
Well, she has a little box of Nicu mementos.
That's a smart
for,
idea.
all the time. And I guess the hospital was telling us too, a lot of people are like always interested to come back, and they've done like class of whatever for the NICU babies.
Oh.
Before. I think a nurse.
That's a neat idea.
I don't think the hospital sponsors it. I think it's more like somebody, like kind of like a school reunion. It's like some person is just like wants to do it, and
that'd be hard to want to go back though.
I don't know. I think it'd be kind of fun.
Yeah,
right?
just to see how all the babies are doing. I guess.
Yeah.
You just
Well, and it makes-
most of them make it nowadays.
Yeah,
Even
that's
at
true.
1 pound, most of them make it now.
yeah, like
we're
doing
back
this
in
in,
our
like-
day. Probably half of them didn't
know.
make it.
That's what I was going to say. Like, we're talking, you do like, you go back to like even like the 1980s, you probably don't have that reunion, right? Because it's super depressing.
No,
It might only be
Now
one
it's-
out of so many
yeah.
that made it. Yeah.
But now, you're right. Probably the majority of them would be there. So, but I'm sorry. I'm
Listen,
sorry.
nice. It's amazing to me, and you said it, Terry. You're right. What advances we have in the medical. I mean, it's when you hear 3.5, 1.5.
You just think the worst.
Unfortunately, I wish our minds could be more. And I'm not. I think you think the worst, but at the same time, you're like, you start praying and you start, okay, it's going to be okay. And I remember getting that picture, and then thinking, oh my God, this is happening. You know. And then you go to the next step. What is the next step? And then we didn't get to see him. Well, we got surprised because we did a video thing, and you said, "Hey, how would you like to come see him?" And I think we were shocked. We were there. It was the next day.
In the car, yeah.
Yeah, it was the next day.
I was like, I don't know if you have to work tomorrow, but take it the day off. You're going.
And you're wearing masks. And that's the other thing I think I'll never forget, because going through all this COVID stuff and understanding what is at stake. There's a lot at stake, because you don't want to see anybody get sick. And so we were always wearing our mask. And I to this day, I remember as we're getting, later and later, and we all had it at some point. And I looked at Lauren, and I just brought Fen in. And I thought, I'm sorry, I don't have my mask on. She goes, you don't need it. Give him a kiss. And there's just something about removing that mask and having that feel of his skin, just on my cheek and his cheek. It was just, it sounds weird maybe, but it's just what we've been going through.
Well, and to add to that, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're not. You're
'cause
good.
This is like really, really important. I think a lot of children that were born during COVID, and there was a lot of us.
A lot.
Like a lot of people had nothing better to do. Apparently.
Yeah, there were a lot of people busy. Getting busy.
And because even McGee's was saying, like, we have a ton of babies, and for the years they did not. Like there was kind of like dry. I don't want to call it a dry spell. It's probably bad wording, but yeah, like there just weren't as many people having kids, and then all of a sudden it was like a baby boom because nobody had anything better to do.
Had an opportunity.
And but one thing I would love to see a study done on, because I think it's going to be very, very interesting, is all of these babies that were born during COVID. I think they're going to have problems recognizing facial emotions.
I agree.
Because, and that's something we're learning with Fen, is like, he can recognize us now, but for a while there, without the mask, he didn't really know who we were. And, stuff like a smile, it took him, I think, honestly, I don't know. I'm not like a babyologist or anything.
No, it makes sense.
But I feel like it took him longer to smile or to make those facial expressions that you expect because he'd never seen them before. Everyone around him was wearing a mask all the time.
All the
Oh
time.
yeah, because they had to do everything with a mask because they didn't want him to catch a germ.
Maybe it's the opposite, and they're really good because they can read it through your eyes and your eyebrows.
Correct.
Like so, but I would be really curious to see a study done on that because, like, yeah, I mean, he didn't smile for a long, long time. I think it was strictly because he just didn't know how.
Until Uncle Jeff, got to get a shout out, Uncle Jeff comes up with these masks that have the clear.
Oh, right.
And then Terry and I were wearing those. Now I don't know exactly if he really, because you're doing your expression, with your mask on, whether you had the ones that are clear or not, but he still, I mean, again, like you said, can he read the eyes and see how excited or whatever?
He couldn't see my green
He couldn't see
He
that.
couldn't
No.
see any of that. No, it's so I'd be really curious to see how that plays out. I think because you never know. It's always the little things, right? It's
Yes.
always the little things.
Yes.
The big things everybody remembers, and you might remember them slightly differently. But it's like the little things when you're growing up that when you go, I think a lot of people think back on, especially if it's something that affected you individually. You look back on this, and you talk to some like your parents or something about it, and you're like, "What are you talking about?" That was like a Tuesday, and nothing
really
happened.
yeah.
And then, but to you, it was a big deal.
Exactly.
And like that's so like something like that. It's like everybody around me was in masks for the first 6 months of my life. I feel like that's a big deal.
It is a big deal. I think it is too. I mean, it's now that it's gotten much better. Obviously,
Well,
but
just think of these 2 and 3 year olds that were during COVID.
Oh,
that they all of a sudden, that's probably all they remember. They probably don't remember that time going out of the house without a mask because they were so young, but they were just old enough to wear a mask when they left. And so if they went to the grocery store with mom, they put a mask on them because they didn't want them to catch anything.
I for a while there, because I was going back and forth from the hospital, we had masks everywhere. And I think to this day, every single jacket in that closet back there has a mask in it, just because I am so bad at remembering, right?
Right.
And we for a while there, we'd keep like a pack of spares in the car, but I would forget.
Yeah.
So they would slowly disappear and I wouldn't replace them. So now I know that one does. I know all the ones hanging on in the front of the house.
I still have 2 in my purse all the time.
There are jackets in that closet, like Grandpa Joe's jacket is still back there. I bet there's a mask in it somehow. Like I would not be surprised.
I do the same thing. I forget.
Well, because and now we're in that missionary period where like some people still want them and some people don't.
That's whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
that's more confusing because like you never know when someone's like,
people come into the school
Yeah,
and they're doing
like,
this
am I
because
supposed to do this,
the sign is still on the door, but we just lifted it that you have to have it all the time. And I don't care if they wear them because I'm behind glass.
Yeah.
So they're in their own thing. So if they sneeze and cough in there, that's on them, But
obviously there's places you can predict. Like if you're going to the hospital, you probably have to wear one. But like the grocery store is a toss up. It could go either way.
Yeah, and I think it's comfortability. If you're comfortable and you want to wear one, God bless you, wear it. I don't.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me either at this point. But
one line, a lot of employment places have out that if you aren't vaccinated, you have to wear one.
Yeah.
And then
Well, I
if
think
you
that's
are,
even
they
lifted
do-
too because they're lifting that.
because
even pro
yeah.
sports, right?
Sports,
Well,
but I
'cause
think
a lot of people that even didn't get vaccinated have had it now, so they feel that they're immune to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At least for so many
Months
for
or
3
whatever.
months or so.
But I don't. I always would tell Lauren. I said, no one wanted you to, or you didn't ask to be a mom in this condition, in this situation where you have to, and you do, and it's tough because I know there's family members that still have not seen him yet, and we're hopefully going to get through that here very shortly as the holidays, Easter starts, coming upon us. So
we
we'll see.
do have his first birthday coming up. So
We do, and that's the other thing too is
hopefully the numbers will stay way low.
His birthday is always on my picnic day, so it's going to be an
May
interesting
30th,
right before Memorial Day. So
Yeah.
we'll have to figure this all out, but we will. It doesn't matter. It's
What day is Memorial Day? Is
it's
it
always
his
a Monday,
birthday?
but I always do it the day
Oh,
before.
okay.
So
it might be that I haven't looked this year. I'm bad dad. Well, I haven't.
Oh,
had to do
I
it
didn't
ever
think of that. The
before.
30th.
might
Well,
end
this
up-
is the 30th.
It might end up falling right on his birthday someday.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely, it could. And being his first birthday, it's going to be
That's
And
going to
actually-
be
a big one.
well. I mean,
Jillian's Jonah's the same day.
Yeah.
You know that, don't you?
May
Yeah,
30th?
Oh,
He
yeah.
was the one on
His
his
May
birthday,
30th too.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. The way you phrased that, I was like,
Yeah,
they're
so
both on.
They're both on the 30th. It's just,
I forget what I was going to say now. Oh, well, but knowing our family, we don't ever do anything small for first birthday. So
No, we don't. We don't do anything. I mean,
and that's great. That's a wonderful.
I don't
thing,
know.
honestly.
Whose was it? Was it Zachary's first birthday? He slept through the whole thing.
Jared's first
he
birthday, he
cried.
cried and had to take him
Oh.
home. And that's
That's
another thing because
strangers, they
a
get-
lot of different people, a lot of people, not different people, a lot of people, could put him
You
in
don't
one of those
never
where he
know how
gets
they'll
scared.
react.
That's how
I
Jared
mean,
was. He got scared.
I was just in a costume at a children's birthday
Yes.
party with him, and he loved it. And he loved all the kids running around, and he thought it was super entertaining. So
The balloon, man.
Yeah,
he loved the
he
balloon.
loved that balloon.
Laughing.
So we'll just have to make sure we get him a balloon.
But again,
for his first
that
birthday.
Nicu experience, I know he's too young to remember and stuff like that. But large crowds, a lot of noise doesn't really bother him.
That's true.
He slept through. They had this. I'll never forget this because I stayed over at the Nicu one night and they were cleaning the floors and they have this little mini Zamboni that they drive through that polishes the floors, and it is super loud. And he never woke up. He's just this is totally normal.
But when the dog barks,
Well, yeah.
when someone's at the door, and we learned that the
that's-
hard way.
yeah.
We
But
forgot to
you
open
know
the door.
what? Even at first, when you first came home, that the dog didn't bother him, did he?
Oh, I think he was unsure of what it was. He wasn't sure if it was a toy or
Yeah, so he grabs
he
his
wasn't sure
jaws,
if Ben
jowls.
was a living creature yet because he was so small, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't move very much.
When he came home, how much did he weigh when he came home? Do you remember?
I want to say,
Did he have- was he
Lord would
5?
remember. I think he was a little over 5. I want to say he was
over
closer to
5.
7.
He was 7 pounds.
Yeah.
And there was-
because I thought at 5 pounds
I think
he'd
I
come
want to
home.
say it was almost 8 pounds because that was a stipulation for him leaving.
Yeah,
was that he was
because
putting on weight.
BJ with Brendan, who was early, but he was only 3 or 4 weeks early. He had to be 5 pounds to go home, and he hit 5 pounds. He came home,
Yeah, and that's
and that they don't do that anymore. They go by lung function and if they're eating on their own or if they're having to have it.
Well, I think we should mention that now that you brought it up as lung function.
Yeah.
That was one of the things, feeding him was terrifying because, if he wasn't, if we were giving him a bottle, sometimes he would just stop breathing.
Yeah, he would
And,
stop breathing.
I'm sure normal babies do that too, but
I think to a certain extent, especially if they're just a few weeks early and they're low weight. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
But for us, like I was saying earlier, everything is an emergency, right? So you're feeding him, he's not breathing, and even if it's for a split second, you just panic. And obviously, now he chews on the bottle and spits it at you at the same time.
Yeah.
It's just
He's eating like a.
I mean,
He's
he
eating
housed his
great.
breakfast.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, now he's 24 pounds with one of the biggest heads in the world.
He is something. When he wakes up, we stayed the night, and he woke up this morning. I could hear him
Yeah.
as he was
talking
moving,
in
and then
there.
he started talking, and then you know.
When we talked back, he was like that.
And then I blinded him with the light, and he's, but then he smiled, and he is one of the most pleasant babies. Is he awake? He might be awake. Where is the?
It's in the other room.
Terry's going to go look. He might be awake. He might be visiting here, and we might be shutting this down early. But it's one of those.
It's a ghost. I hear ghost cries. It's another dad
Okay.
thing that I think
Yeah.
you inherit once you bring a child home. And this house is noise carries really well here, right? And I swear, there's been times I've been sitting back there, and he's on the third floor.
Yeah, he's on the third floor. Yeah.
And I swear I hear him. I swear it. And I'll run and I'll check the monitor, and he's still sleeping. But I swear I heard him cry.
Yeah.
And, even as he's gotten older and it's more distinct, it's crazy. It'll be 1 a.m, and I'll be working, or I'll be playing a game or something.
Yeah.
And I know that he's asleep. He's been asleep, like you said. He sleeps for 10 hours.
He does.
He does not stir.
Amazing.
but I swear I hear him. Like, and I have to go check. And it's like some crazy instinct that I never had before, and now it exists.
When we come back, we're going to take a small little break. I want to come back. I want to ask RJ about working from home and raising a child, because I think this is important too, because a lot of people think that it's easier. Not necessarily. We'll talk about that coming up in just a bit. So you want to start a podcast. Maybe you're listening to the show today and you're thinking to yourself, boy, that would be fun. And I have a lot of things I want to talk about. Maybe today is the day. Maybe you're looking for a new marketing channel, or you have a message that you'd like to share with the world, or you just think it would be fun to have a talk show. Now, it is a lot of fun just talking to your friends. Maybe you have ideas about sports, life, or whatever your passion is. Today's the day. Podcasting is easy, it's inexpensive, and it's a fun way to expand your reach online. And where should you go? Buzzsprout. It's hands down the easiest, and it's the best way to launch, promote, and track your podcast. And your show, believe it or not, can be online and listed in all the major podcast directories in minutes, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast, and you wouldn't believe how many more there are. And they make it simple to join all of them. Podcasting is not hard when you have the right partners, and Buzzsprout is the team to join. They are passionate about your success. You can join over 1,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout. We're one of them. We've been on Buzzsprout from the beginning, and I'm so glad I joined up. I had a little bit of an issue, emailed a customer service rep, and they got back to me within 5 minutes, and they had me calm down. It wasn't that hard, and what I was doing was my fault. So here's all you got to do. Click on the link in the show notes. It tells Buzzsprout we sent you. You can support our show, and if you get a paid plan, you get a $20 gift certificate from Amazon. Now, here's some other things that Buzzsprout provides. Like, you get a great-looking podcast website. Now, a lot of people think, oh, I got to get a website, got to pay for that. No, you don't. They provide it for you. Also, they have audio players. Maybe you have a website, and all you want to do is promote your show on your own website. You can do that with their audio players, and you can also drop it into other websites and on Facebook or Twitter, and they help you do it all. Believe me, Buzzsprout is the way to go. They've helped me immensely, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. So maybe today is a day for you to start your podcast. And if you do, check out the link below in the show notes and get a $20 Amazon gift card. Welcome back. Fen is with us. Yes, he woke up from his nap and he is here. He's smiling. Terry's holding him. And if she does talk, it'll be a little bit further away, but that's okay. And my question to RJ is, working from home, raising a child. You both work from home. And a lot of people would think, he's smiling, a lot of people think it was easier. It's not quite that easy, is it?
No, and I'm sure, I know there's other people that I work with that are going through this as well. And their kids might be older, they might be younger. But I mean, between the two of us both working from home, I don't know if you guys know this, but daycare rates are insane.
Oh, I've heard from friends of ours, yes.
And so, that's not really an option.
Not only that, from daycare to daycare, you don't know rules with all the COVID rules.
Well, not even just COVID.
If everyone follows them, who knows if everyone, if they disinfect, if they, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's not even just COVID, right? Like I was saying earlier, he's a premature baby, and he's always going to be a premature baby, and I can actually talk about that because people have mentioned that it's like eventually he grows out of it. That's not true.
Oh, it's not true.
No, and the dentist, it was the eye doctor that explained why. There are certain things with a premature baby that they'll have forever, and if a doctor doesn't know that, they will diagnose him differently. So, for instance, for his eyes, the back of his eyes, they're called cups, are shaped differently, and they will always be that way. And if an eye doctor doesn't, and that doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong with his eyes.
Okay.
But if an eye doctor doesn't know that,
they may diagnose him wrong.
Well, he specifically said glaucoma, like it looks like glaucoma. So, and that's not what it is, but they have to know that he was premature.
So that has to go with him wherever he goes. As far as medical.
Even if he's normal forever,
yeah.
He has to mention that because there are certain things about premature babies. And so knowing that now, you think about things a little differently, I think. And so like daycare, even if we didn't have COVID, I don't know if I'd be comfortable with him in daycare because like he's premature, and I'm sure that doesn't affect his immune system or anything like that. But in my mind, it'll always feel that way.
A little bit. It did at first.
Yeah.
But then now you would think at some point he would grow out of that. But
you just never
you really
know.
don't know.
And
I think he's getting scared. He's looking at me like I'm from outer space.
yeah, well,
He's okay. I didn't know that. I really didn't. They always tell you go by gestational age, and then, because May 30th is always going to be his birthday, but he was supposed to be supposedly
September 9th?
August 3rd.
August 3rd, that's right. Sorry.
August 3rd. So, and then they'll say, well, how old is he? Coming up here, he's going to be 10 months old, which is hard to believe. But technically,
he's only 8.
8 in his development, right? Is that how they do that?
That's right. Yeah.
Did he poop again? Terry's got a look on her face like he just took a dump.
But yeah, and so like, because I was talking to someone about that, and they had brought it up, and they're like, my son is 25, but they still asked me if he was premature, and I never understood why. And that's why I asked the doctor. I was like, why is that? And that's what he told me. And
Okay.
I was like, yeah, they have different things that just aren't developed the same as us, and they might be super minute, but it's enough to screw up a diagnosis. So,
but getting back to
sorry.
no, that's it. I didn't know that. I'm glad you mentioned that because I didn't know that,
Yeah.
and that's good for the audience too. But my question is, like working from home, you guys have him on quite a schedule. You really do. I got to give you guys credit for that, but. Working from home isn't.
That is a problem with some parents. They don't have a schedule at all for their kids.
well,
I don't think that's good for a child. They need a schedule.
Well, I mean, sometimes it's just not possible. I think we're lucky enough. Lauren's working part-time right now, and she starts a little earlier than I do, and we try to split it. I mean, it's a team effort.
God bless you. That's exactly what it's got to be.
And we do have help. I don't want to make it sound like we're doing it all on our own, because that is not true at all.
But it's not every day. It's
it's Wednesdays and Thursdays, and when you guys can come up on Fridays.
Yeah.
But we've got a system down where, I do. I have my time set aside for these hours, and then, but like, there's a lot of pre-planning that goes involved. Like we've gotten so used to it that it seems casual. Like you've probably heard us talking about it. It's like, hey, my Monday looks like this. She's like, okay, well, I can do this, and we split it up and do the best that we can.
And then he's got to play part of that too.
Well, and that's the other hard part, right? Like there's definitely days where I can't help, and he decides he's not napping that day.
Yeah. Or he's teething really
bad. And,
as he rubs his teeth together as we speak. So if you hear banging on the table, it's not us, it's him.
Yeah.
As he's smiling and kicking, and I'm waiting for him to say something. You want to say something? Anything? Not yet? You don't want to say anything? We're going to try and get him to say, nothing. He'll do it whenever we're done.
yeah,
It's interesting because I think, and I also think now, let me ask you this, because working from home, this is just my feeling, could be wrong. Is it possible that I believe there are, let's put this out there. There are people that take advantage of the way it's working. Okay. They play the system, but there are others, and I think this is the majority of them, that feel a little bit guilty and work a little bit longer, work more hours.
I think that's a really good point. I think it's a balance, right? And I think we're still trying. I think as a collective, we're still trying to find that balance, because everyone that I've talked to is kind of in the similar boat. It's like you might
want to get the same
you might
amount
slack
done.
off a little bit during the day, but then you end up working till 8 o'clock at night, and it's starting to feel normal. And I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing.
I know. You need that. And there's no separation, right?
No.
There's no separation anymore from work and home because you're working from home.
Yeah. And so like, I definitely think people might they might take a break at like 10 a.m., which they wouldn't do before, right? But then they end up paying for it later. And so my whole thing is like, and I'm not a manager or anything, but as long as the work gets done, what does it matter?
That's how.
As long as it's done,
yeah.
it's on the deadline.
I agree with that.
What does it matter?
Yeah.
And
We don't mention where we work or anything because we don't want to get. But I'm very blessed for where I work. They're very much like that. They're very, they want the work to get done. But I still believe that people. I do it myself, even though I know I'm off. I was off yesterday. Mm-hmm. I checked my phone.
Oh, you saw it last night. I looked at my phone. Mm-hmm. I was like, I missed this email.
You missed it?
I have to go.
Yep. And it was 9:30.
Yeah. And I probably could have waited.
That's it. You can laugh. It's funny.
I probably could have waited until this morning to do it, but that, like you were saying, it was that guilt. Like if I don't do this right now, I'm going to feel guilty. And I don't
want to. Maybe guilt is a bad word.
You just feel obligated.
Obligated because you feel like, okay, well, I took maybe a little extra here. Oh, nice little burpee there. I took a little extra here, so I'll just check. For me, I don't know. It's almost become a habit,
right?
Because I'm just checking it now all the time.
It's part of that routine that we were talking about, like with getting him set up. It's like, well, I clocked in a little later today because I had to feed him or something like that. And it's like, well, I could just put in that time a little bit later. A little bit later turns into like 5 hours, and like not everyone gets paid overtime, right? So that's
right. Not if you're salary.
Mm-hmm. So but I think a lot of people, whether you're salary or not, do it just by habit at this point. I mean, 2 years of being work from home, and then like Lauren's been work from home for years and years and years.
I was going to ask that. It's been a while.
For her, it's different. I think she was a little annoyed when I started working from home because, at first she was really happy about it.
You didn't know the schedule,
because I didn't know the schedule, but I was here all the time, which is great. But then, as time had gone by, she's like, "You're still here." It's like I used to have this whole house to myself, and now you're in the way all the time, making a mess.
But now we have one that is, and he's getting close, folks. He's getting close to crawling around. You think it's tough now? He rolls everywhere.
He has pinpoint accuracy with his rolls.
He does.
It's pretty crazy.
He does.
Go from room to room. And go all the way to the entry.
And it's really fun to watch his decision making. When Fen is deciding, he's like, I'm going into the dining room. Mm-hmm. And you can watch him roll into position and then turn himself and just like with this accuracy that he should not have as a baby and get right in there. And we've put up like little barriers and stuff because like he's not old enough for baby gates, right? Like we shouldn't have to worry about that. But he figures out a way to get into wherever he wants to go.
He does. He is just... let me just say, he's Grandpa's little buddy. There's no doubt about it.
There's no denying.
No doubt. He's a blessing for sure. We were going to cover some other things, but I really wanted to talk about Fen as he makes his appearance on our show. Maybe a lot more to come with him as he gets older too. I hope we do this for a long period of time.
Yeah, and
have Lauren. We want to make sure Lauren's here.
Once he starts talking, that should be really interesting.
Oh, it should be very interesting. I'll have to come up with some great questions. We're going to have my godson too, and Matt. We're going to do a podcast with them, so that should be fun.
During the summer, we could do a couple down at the
pool. Absolutely.
Call them pool time.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. One thing I was going to add about the work from home stuff is a lot of companies are requiring people to be on camera and stuff like that. And although that's fine, I don't like it's whatever. You know what I mean? I don't mind.
If you have an office.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to bring up. Is like a lot of people, they have kids that are not quite school age, but not quite, baby either. Or even Fen in some cases, he's crying and, Lauren's tied up for whatever reason. Like, if I have to be on camera, he's got to be there with me. There's nothing to do about it. Right. And so...
As long as you're not in the bathroom.
Well, no, but...
some people like to do it from the bathroom. Because the acoustics are good.
Yeah, well, it sounds like this room, right?
But there's no camera.
That's true.
And there's not smell-o-vision, so that's good, too. That's always good.
So you hear, you'll see people,
Might be too. I'm sorry, I'm whispering.
I was gonna say you see people on the meetings when you see their kids run by and stuff like that, and that's I don't know.
Or the husband came out of the shower.
Yeah. Like, and I think that's always going to be a problem, just because.
Why do you think they need the Why do we need the cameras? Is it because they want? If they can hear you, or is it no one?
Know you're actually doing
I think really, I think honestly, they want to make sure that you're doing
Well,
stuff.
'cause look
But
Yeah, but
at
they need
different
to see you to
jobs
do
that I've
it.
had. Some
No,
people
they don't.
actually are the opposite. They don't feel guilty, and they take advantage of their work as much as they can. There's always that one at work that ruins
It's for
everything for
everybody.
everyone.
Well, there is.
Like they say they have a doctor's appointment and they don't come back. Or whatever. Well, it took longer. Well, it always seems to them that they take longer and they can't come back. You know what I mean?
your car never starts.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have that.
And sometimes that
one.
is true, but
Yeah,
most
but-
of the time.
Yeah, but,
Oh
yeah,
man,
but,
you just segued into something that, and I don't
Oh,
have
yeah,
it here
I mean, we can
about
do a whole one on
worst
that.
excuses to missing work, and I don't have the paper. We got to
Well,
get into that the next time.
That's too bad too, because I have one that actually happened.
Go ahead.
Remember when I lived in the Southside Slopes and my car got broken into?
Yes.
So they stole. I don't know if you remember this. So they stole my gym bag.
Yes, I remember. I remember.
It had my car keys in it. And so later we found the bag. They had taken the stuff out of the bag and thrown the bag in the neighbor's yard, and my keys were still in there. But I had a spare key, and I had no idea where it was. And so I was late for work because I couldn't find my spare key. Now, how lame of an excuse is that? But it was true.
Well, it is true. You got broken into.
Yeah.
So I mean that is.
But like the whole thing. Well, especially when you explain what was it? So just to preface it, they broke into my car. They stole my gym bag, which had some stinky sneakers in it and some old gross gym clothes that I didn't get a chance to wash.
I remember this. I remember this now.
So not only did they take the time to break into my car and grab a bag, but they went through the bag next to my car. They still stole the shoes, which I'll never ever understand.
Right
'Cause
size.
I mean, they were gross. Like I wore them to the gym. They were beat up.
Those
They
weren't
had-
the spaghetti shoes.
They were not the spaghetti.
That's
the spaghetti
another
shoes
story.
are still downstairs.
Okay.
I love those shoes. I'll
That's
never let
another
them
story
go.
for another time.
But
I always like to keep people wanting more with spaghetti shoes.
so like you have to explain to your boss, like, yeah, they stole my gym bag. It's like, what did you have in your gym bag? Nothing. That's why this is so confusing. But it just sounds made up, right? But it happened.
Yep, and they stole his shoes
Yeah, and they
the
stole
car
my
keys.
shoes
And the car.
and the car keys.
and the car keys.
Well, the car keys were in
They
there.
were in the pocket of the
They were in the
bag.
pocket.
Okay, but they
So-
didn't realize they were in there, and they didn't.
Well,
take
and that's
the car.
probably a good thing because they could have stolen. Well, no one was stealing that car. That was the Neon. But
Oh, the neon. Yeah, there's what a car. That car
The-
got the hell beat out of it.
the passenger door didn't even shut anymore. We had to
No,
tape
it was
shut.
bad. We had to
Yeah.
tape it shut. It was but again, there's a car that did get us
I
through.
tell you.
That
Yeah.
thing was a tank. It lasted way longer than it had any right to.
That's true. That is true. It's
Because
gone
it went through two college kids who beat the crap out of it. It hit so many deer that I've
Yeah.
joked about this before. I'm pretty sure it ran on deer blood because we didn't change the oil.
Yeah, because we never did anything
Yeah.
to that car.
And that thing, I miss that car.
When did it finally go? Do we remember?
Yes. I do
we
remember.
traded in on the Cobalt or something.
No. So, maybe we did. I think you traded in for the Avea, didn't you?
Boy, I don't remember. I don't
No,
know.
we
No.
traded in for the Fiesta.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we traded that in for the Fiesta.
I don't think-
the blue
I think
one.
They
Yeah.
gave us like $200.
They gave us 200. Yeah, because that's what you get at the junkyard.
Well, yeah,
Basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we probably. I can't remember.
He called somebody earlier.
Oh, is he on your phone?
Yeah, he called somebody. He actually called a number, and I let him play with my phone, but I can't get it to. Can you just here? I don't think it will turn on. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm sure they watched us, hobble into the dealership.
Oh,
and they're probably wringing their hands. They're like, "Well, this guy has no choice. He's
Yeah.
not leaving.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
thing's not going to start again."
All right, we're gonna wrap this up. Fen's gonna wrap it up for us. We have lots more to talk about because I really wanted to ask RJ, and I think we're gonna do it. Hopefully, maybe Nathan and Zachary be there too. I want to ask them about something maybe they did as young adults that maybe me and Terry don't know about, and
that'll be fun.
a secret that maybe they've been keeping for a long time. Sure. But we'll talk about that. Thank you.
Yeah,
For coming.
absolutely, anytime.
I know you got to
was
get
fun.
back. You want to get to work. Fen needs his grandparents. Thank you for listening to Just Talking Out Loud, and we will see you soon. Terry, you say.
Bye.
Thanks again for listening, and don't forget to click the bell or the follow button so that you can stay up to date on all our episodes that are released every Monday. Also, check out our Just Talking Out Loud Facebook and Twitter page. We'd love to hear from you. And finally, thanks again for letting us be a part of your podcast listening.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's show.